their knowledge, heart, and soul to their respective topics. That as participants, may we be also able to comprehend and absorb the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put it into practice what we may learn tonight. We pray that you bless all the organizers, the committees in charge, that they may be able to fulfill their task responsibly, and that the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Your infinite blessings would mean the success of this webinar. But as participants, we will be able to utilize the knowledge gained this evening to develop a better version of ourselves. May we be a living witness of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reggie.
So welcome.
Now, I'd like to call on our president, Dr. Gloria Briones, to give us the welcome message. Ate Glo?
So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
everyone, and welcome to our mentoring program, PNAA mentoring program, P3 Pulong 7. So I do not want to repeat, as you know, what is it all about tonight, but we have experts that will be telling us how to provide, how to make our resume as well as our CV and creating a portfolio for our professional development. So let's listen and let's embrace what we learned tonight and put it into practice by tomorrow and beyond. And let's get excited because they prepared really important information and valuable tools for us. So let's just embrace the new learning that we're gonna have tonight. And thank you for your participation. Thank you so much. And to the planners, again, maraming salamat.
Thank you, Dr. Briones. At this time, I'm going to call on Alice Taragosa to introduce our first speaker. Alice.
All right. Good evening to all. She is a healthcare executive with over 20 years in the industry. She has been recognized by Modern Healthcare, a leading healthcare publication with inclusion on its Up and Comers list. She finished her term on the Virginia Commonwealth University's Board of Visitors. She serves as chair to the American Hospital Association Equity of Care Committee for 2 years, an affiliate with the Women's United Way, a graduate of the Civic Leadership Institute, AHA Institute for Diversity in Health Management Program, and a certified John Maxwell team member. Presently CEO, partner of Alere Care Solutions, founder and principal Luminary Lens LLC. She built her career in healthcare administration through the for-profit organizations, HSA and UHS, and nonprofit Sintara Health. At 15-year-old, she was hospital volunteer, then became the hospital president title at age 34, where she provided multi-campus leadership for the last 7 years. With outstanding executive leadership in strategy, operations, mergers and acquisitions, integrations and turnaround work, with significant achievements of moving a hospital from a leapfrog in National Quality Score D rating to A rating. She made a financial transformation from tenure of losses prior to her term to a positive margin within a year. Only 15% of healthcare CEOs are women, which the smaller percentage are minority, Asian women. A member of PNA Virginia, P3, she wants to translate her experience and success as a seasoned executive to support PNAA members' success and others to reach out to reach their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our dynamic first speaker, Miss Colin Santa Ana.
Great. Thank you, Alice, for that welcome. And hello, everyone. I'm going to start sharing some slides here. Okay, great. So we're going to spend some time together, about 15 minutes to be exact. So that means I will try to talk fast. But I really want our time together to be interactive. And so what that means, because we can't have a large discussion because it's a short period of time, but we'll have question and answer later. I thought perhaps that you can have your resume out and you can follow along with me and we can dissect your resume together. So if you guys can take your resume out, if you have or you share with someone your resume, because it's great to have advice from and constructive feedback from someone else. So you just heard some of my perspective. I wouldn't say I'm particularly a resume expert, but I would say that I have been an expert of hiring people. So when you lead a hospital, you have to build teams. And so I want to share with you from my experience what I looked for when I was building teams within the hospital, which definitely includes hiring nurses into leadership positions, which I was a huge proponent of because my mom's actually a nurse from Santo Tomas, and I have a passion for nursing. So I want to make sure, and this is why I'm here, is that there's so many Filipinos in staff roles, but there aren't the same percentage of Filipinos in leadership roles. So I want everyone to gain confidence through exercises like this. And I'm also happy to chat with you later. I'm part of P3 and to mentor you into success. So why does a resume really matter? So what? It's just a piece of paper. Some people just write a resume just to get it done, but a resume actually really, really matters. It provides a first impression. And if you imagine you're competing with a number of other nurses for a position, what makes you different? So you have to demonstrate that you have relevant and matching skill sets to what they're looking for, but also very specific uniquenesses that would make you exceed the other candidates. So you also have to prove that you've had prior success or aptitude, which we'll talk about, that you've had career progression, and it highlights opportunities that you've had in the past of your leadership. We're going to talk about that too, and establishes credibility that you are a candidate for the role that you're applying for. If you don't want a new job, a resume also helps with networking. So if you call anyone within PNAA, I'm sure they chat with you, but it's even better if you say, I'll send my resume ahead of our meeting so you can get to know my career pathway a little bit better. That's absolutely an opportunity to make connections and for them to judge you, honestly, before you talk in a good way. So that's why resumes aren't only just for job positions. It could be used as a networking tool. But in summary, if I'm going to sell you why your resume really matters, it's really your value proposition in general. So what makes you interesting and special? It's really how you position your work and how you write about it. All right, so let's go through different components. Oh, and I wanted to mention also, sorry, in the previous slide, when you're trying to work on getting into a new position, it's not just your resume that matters. There's multiple other things which we can talk about next time, but it's executive presence, it's your elevator speech, but all of that before somebody maybe gets to see you in person is your resume. So there's many, many components, but your resume is kind of the door opener. So let's get started here. Let's take a look at your resumes. Usually in the top, you have your contact information. What I've noticed is that sometimes we have too much information there. We can really whittle that down nowadays to what's your email and what's your phone number. I also want to make sure that you have a professional email. Sometimes when we're young, we create cute emails, something cutesy, gmail.com. And so I've had to mentor some folks in saying, why don't we create like a professional email? So something to think about. Take a look at your email, and is that professional email? And just list your phone number as well. Sometimes the city that you live in, if it's relevant, but having your full address nowadays seems a little bit more intrusive. In the past, we used to put everything, but now you don't need it. Also, I hope most of you guys are on LinkedIn. I've actually tried to make friends with some of you guys on LinkedIn and couldn't find you. So I highly encourage that you make a LinkedIn account, and it's an opportunity to share your experience that people might not have known that you've done X, Y, and Z in the past, and linking networks, et cetera, et cetera. So LinkedIn is a great tool, and I hope that you guys use that and then include a link on your resume. So at the top of your resume, below the contact information, is usually an executive summary. I think in the past, in the old traditional resumes, it didn't have executive summaries, maybe 20-something years ago. But nowadays, it's important. It helps the reader understand the direction that you're going in. So having a compelling statement is really key, but making sure it's concise and making sure it's tailored to the job that you're applying for. I'm going to show you a couple examples because this is where I even got a little stuck when I was writing my own executive summary. So I thought I would show you these. So take a look at these three, and I have another three. So read the first one that kind of speaks to you if you look at the title. And then I want to show you something that I want to point something out to you. Okay. So note in all of these, they specifically list skills, the strengths that you really believe that you have and that you want to shine through. You want to say it right in the front end. You don't want to have the reader have to search through your entire resume to realize that you have the example that I have on the screen. And then you see where they have seeking here, and they have it on all three, because the reader wants to know, well, what's the point? What kind of job are you looking for to make sure that you're a match? So you might as well write it in the front end. Here are some more examples. You want to take a look at these. I'll give you a second before I go to the next slide. So you can see the variation that's used when you're looking at the various nursing roles that you can go into. And that's why nursing is so interesting and also vital to the makeup of healthcare, because you bring a certain piece of expertise that's needed. And there are many leadership roles that you can rise into. So I hope you take these examples. I'm happy to share these slides with you. So I also want to point out here, look at how short the sentences are. They're about 3 sentences long, and they get straight to the point. Sometimes you read an executive summary and it's a story or it's a whole paragraph. So just ask you to make sure your executive summary is short. All right, so we're ready to move to the body of your resume. I have a checklist for you. So first one, start looking through your resume, and then let's see if you think that you have numbers associated with each of your bullet points. And if you don't, we need to add some. We really want to quantify your various achievements. So I've given you some pointers here on the screen. Also, we're going to highlight your leadership experience. So even if you're in a staff role and you want to move to another staff role, it's important to continue to build the language of leadership in there. If you have not had formal leadership roles, I'd really like for you to consider your leadership in life. So there are many of you that have PNAA leadership roles, or sometimes you have leadership roles at church. You can still refer to those because they just want to understand your leadership capability. So make sure that you not only have quantifiable outcomes, but you also have some soft skills scattered throughout the body of your resume. So just check out the language and the words that you use and make sure you have some of these incorporated in there. And you can just Google soft skills and it'll give you a whole list that you can choose from. We also want to use action verbs. So sometimes resumes might read really flat. I always like to know that I wanted to have an idea that the person was really engaged in the resume, that it wasn't just a list of things that they did as part of a bigger team. I wanted to understand their level of engagement. So action verbs are really important to the person reading the resume. Of course, resumes, we love to put achievements. So this is absolutely the place to do that. Sometimes we're very humble as Filipinos, but this is not the time to be shy, and it's time to take credit for the things that we've done. So showcase that, please. I know I'm going a little fast, but I hope you're looking through your resume and making notes. This is a page that I think really overlaps what Mary Joyce is gonna talk about. So this is absolutely things that will cross over into your CV. So I'll let the detail move into her presentation. Okay, so you guys probably heard that resumes go through, well, there's AI right now, but there's also HR systems that scan resumes to see if you're a match for the job descriptions, which we're going to talk about in a second. But make sure you're also using keywords. So whatever role you're targeting, if it has a semblance of some of these industry words like population health, health equity, DEI, these are things that you want to include if you actually have had experience in them. So resumes also sometimes appear a little bit messy, so make sure it's appealing to the person reading it. If it looks clean and professional, it already gives off the semblance that you are a professional person and that you're nice and tidy and organized. If it's over-designed, then it becomes a little messy and hard to read. So just be conscious about your resume. So you're going to proofread and edit everything. Literally, if there's one mistype, sometimes the reader or the employer will reject your resume because they do not think that you're serious. If you've put forth a resume that has errors, they'll say, well, this person doesn't have the attention to detail. And I kid you not that could happen. Also, make sure that there's no jargon. Sometimes I've been reading Filipino resumes, and there's a lot of abbreviations, including an example here for my last name, STA, but it's actually Santa, right? Santa Ana. So make sure that you write everything out because not everybody understands all of the abbreviations. Okay, so we're going to level up, and I'm going to be a little bit quicker to make sure I make it through everything. So that was a checklist of the things that you can kind of assess your resume. But I also want to make sure that we talked about crafting a master resume. And then you take a master resume that's kind of the most robust version of all the various achievements, all the various kind of things that you've accomplished and experienced. And then we take that master resume and we convert them into targeted resumes. So you might have like 4 or 5 versions of this, for example, and you really should have one for every job that you're applying for. So I'm going to walk through a quick example. So not only are we going to make sure we assess your entire master resume with the things we talked about, but now we're carving out. So it's like an ice sculpture. So take, for example, a job that you really want. We're going to pull up that job description and we're going to study it. And we're going to highlight keywords, qualifications, things that stick out to us that are really important that the employer is looking for. Because essentially me as the employer in the past, I would look for keywords in someone's resume. So what you're about to do is highlight the job description and then insert it into your resume. So that's what I say on that screen. So we're gonna move along. Okay, so now we're gonna start customizing your resume, and then you're gonna have your executive summary is going to be towards the direction of that job description. And we're gonna organize all the different sections. And not only are we gonna have good information that we just talked about into the body, but now we're going to start prioritizing it because the reader is sometimes lazy. They'll read only 1 or 2 bullets of each of the sections or places that you've worked and skim through your resume. Sometimes they won't read everything. So prioritizing is also very important. So tailoring your work experience. So again, just matching all the accomplishments and responsibilities. So it's very clear to the reader that you're absolutely the person that can get the job done. And you're going to start highlighting relevant skills. So there's hard skills and soft skills that we had talked about before. And so spending the time, there's energy and time that a lot of us don't feel like we have, but the effort that you put into this significantly will increase the chances of you getting noticed and potentially hired. So really quick, promise last one. Let's apply what we've learned. So if we can just use the chat room really quick. So I'm going to open that up on my screen. And take a look at this resume. Tell me what are some of the positives that you see here on the screen. I'll wait for just a few comments. What are some positives from this resume example?
Colin, are you showing the resume now?
Oh yeah, you can't see it on the screen?
Oh, we don't see it.
No, we can see it, Colin.
Oh, you can't see it. I'm sorry. It's part
Yeah.
of the slide set. Okay, that's fascinating. Okay. You get the slides, it's part of a picture that's embedded in there, but basically it's a great layout, but I'm going to list here a couple of opportunities that I saw when I looked at the picture of this resume. So thank you for letting me know you can see it. Tell me if you can see this one. Can you see this one?
Not yet. We just see let's apply what
So
we've learned. Okay,
you
now
saw, you see it,
Yes.
sir?
yes, we can see now.
Oh, you can see this one. Okay. So what are some positives in this resume? Any positives?
Well, you get the summary and the highlights and also the experience. So it's, yes, it's pretty clean.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So these are the some of the things that I noticed too. So you could see that she's really included some of the quantifiable measures in here. So we get an idea of kind of the breadth and depth of her experience. So this helps a hiring agent really understand her capability. So what are some opportunities that could be fixed on this example? Yes, that's great, Ian. Broad terms, no specific accomplishments to the highlights. Okay. Anything else that you guys are noticing? Okay, there are a couple things that I noticed, so I'm going to show you. So just for example, I've seen some nursing resumes in the past that are really colorful. I know this is a marketing one, but I just ask you to think about not making it so colorful. Healthcare is still very traditional. So that's one thing. Healthcare is still traditional in the fact that they like very plain resumes. So when you add a lot of color, it feels sometimes like this one feels very girly and doesn't feel professional, unfortunately. Also, what type of roles is she interested in? She didn't really have an executive summary that told me, well, okay, this is nice, you have a general resume, but I'm not really clear that you want to apply with me directly. I know there's also a cover letter potential and etc. But sometimes we just really want to see that on the resume. And also, if you look, there are things that are not value added. So see her GPAs on there. Sometimes we put a lot of extra information, but if it's not part of our value proposition to the potential employer or hiring boss, then we really don't need it. And then what do you guys think about the quotes? They're nice, but did it really add value in terms of wanting to hire her? Okay, so I thought we'd just go through those examples. Unfortunately, you guys couldn't see this one in this page, but I'll leave the slides as an example that everybody can have access to with the P3 team. So just ending with a quote, every job application is an opportunity to take a step closer to your dreams. So embrace each chance with enthusiasm and determination, for in the pursuit of new horizons, you really do discover true potential. So I just encourage everyone, if you have a vision for yourself professionally, do not let some of these obstacles deter you from reaching that. And P3, PNAA, and I am also here and totally dedicated to you so that we can help you reach your dreams. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Colleen. That's a great presentation. It's too bad we only have 15 minutes. So we hope to invite you in the future Pulong. Just to let you know, folks, Colleen is actually in France right now, and she's doing this webinar at 3 a.m. So Colleen, you're such a dedicated person. Thank you for your contribution to PNAA. And we're going to have an opportunity to ask questions later after the second presentation. We actually crafted some time for Q&A later. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with our second speaker. So I'm going to turn this over to Mariles to introduce our second speaker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to introduce our next speaker, who has inspired countless nurses, including myself, with her remarkable journey. Dr. Mary Joyce Ramos, an associate professor at Kennesaw State University, Wellstar School of Nursing, is an accomplished educator and scholar. Her academic journey includes a Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing from Georgia State University, a bachelor's and master's degrees in nursing from the University of Santo Tomas, complemented by being a certified nurse educator from the National League for Nursing. Dr. Ramos is a research scientist funded by the NIH Asian Resource Centers for Minority Aging Research and the Alzheimer's Association. She is also the academic research collaborator within the Georgia Nayon of the Filipino American Patient Outcome Research and current education chair of the Philippine Nurses Association of America. Dr. Ramos' impact reaches far and wide with a prolific scholarly publication record in nursing, aging, dementia, and health behavior. She is also the managing editor and website administrator of Photo Boys for Nurses and an editorial board member of the Gerontology and Geriatrics Education Journal. She has shared her expertise through national and international presentations, earning awards such as the Georgia Asian Times Valiant Award in 2019 and the 2020 Excellence in Research recognition from the Philippine Nurses Association of America. She was honored and distinguished educator in gerontological nursing by the National Hartford Center of Gerontological Nursing Excellence in 2021. She was acknowledged with the Florence Nightingale Award in 2022 by the PNA of Georgia and received the 2023 Wellstar College Faculty Award from Kennesaw State University, highlighting her exemplary contributions to education, research, and community service. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mary Joyce Ramos.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Mariles. So I hope that you can hear me well. I'm somewhere right now, not in my home, and I think the aircon just blow. So if there's a weird sound, I think it will go away in 2 minutes. So let me just share my screen, and can you see it right now? I just want to make sure that everybody will be able to see it well with my picture in it probably 4 years ago.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. So the title of my presentation is How to Build an Effective Personal Brand in Nursing. And I'll focus on the CV and portfolio development. I know Colleen focused on some parts, highlights of resume. So now I'll probably speak a little about your brand, because when you're writing something, you want to show people who you are and what you are, and you normally craft it based on what you want to apply for or what you want others to perceive you. So before I move on, as an educator, I want to make sure that at the end of this short presentation, you will be able to first identify key areas for improvement in your nursing CV and take actionable steps to enhance it. Colleen gave you lots of pointers for that already for your resume. It's just that when or tailoring it for your CV, it means it's longer and more comprehensive. So sometimes in resumes, just highlight, and most HR just wanted like one maximum of like 2 or 3 pages. But in CV, you'll probably notice that it can go longer as like 50 pages for your CV, especially for executives, for hospitals, or for academia. And second is to describe a nursing portfolio's essential components and structure and setting the foundation for its development. Because sometimes it's hard to write something that you don't have. So make sure that you have all of the components before you proceed with what am I going to write in there? What should be included? Those things. So just an agenda. I'll be focusing on 4 major topics: the personal branding basics, the personal branding process, because it's a step. There's a science and art within that. Third is CV development. And last is your portfolio development and how you're going to present that. So let me start with personal branding basics. So personal branding. So we're talking about brand identity. Colleen showed you some marketing and, others is about the IT person. So personal branding is not just for professionals in other fields. It's equally essential for nurses. It's the art of managing how you perceived by colleagues, patients, and healthcare community, and leveraging that perception to advance your nursing career. So as nurses, you're already aware of the critical role perception plays in healthcare. But today, we will delve into different aspects of perception. So it's the power of how you're perceived in your nursing career. So that's the power of perception. Now, why is it important? So consider this. Every time you interact with a patient, family member, colleague, or supervisor, they form perceptions about you. These perceptions influence their trust in you, confidence in your care, and willingness to collaborate with you. As nurses, you often bridge medical knowledge and patient care. Your patients and colleagues rely on you for your clinical expertise and your compassion, empathy, and communication skills. And these qualities are deeply tied to how you've perceived. So think about it. Patients who see you as caring and attentive are more likely to follow your advice and engage in their treatment plan. When a colleague perceives you as a team player, they're more likely to collaborate with you seamlessly. So on the flip side, if someone perceives you as disorganized, uninterested, or unprofessional, it can hinder your ability to provide effective care and advance in your nursing career. So what can you do about it? That's where personal branding comes in. Personal branding allows you to take control of the perceptions others have of you. So it's about deliberately crafting a consistent image and reputation that aligns with your values and professional goals. So next, we're talking about the personal branding process. So the first one is self-discovery. Understanding yourself is the foundation of building a strong personal nursing brand. Self-awareness is key to recognizing your values, strengths, and areas for improvement as a nurse. It's about acknowledging what drives you, what you excel at, and where you can grow. With a solid understanding of yourself, we can now move on to the exciting process of defining your personal nursing brand. So, your unique value unique, Colleen mentioned about it. Your unique value proposition is what sets you apart as a nurse. It's about identifying what makes your approach to patient care distinct. Just as in any business, in nursing, you have an audience. So your patients, colleagues, employers, and even the healthcare community. So your personal nursing brand should resonate with your values and strengths while also appealing to the needs and expectations of your target audience. This alignment is key to crafting a brand that represents you and serves your patients and colleagues effectively. So you probably have seen this image, and that's actually building an online presence. Someone mentioned, well, it's probably Jay, about the examples of the key points were at the top of your resume, like a LinkedIn statement, right? So building an online presence in our digital age, this is crucial. Your LinkedIn profile, personal website, and social media all contribute to your personal brand. And the CV. So your CV, we will talk about CV development, and CV is a vital tool in presenting your skills and achievements. So she mentioned about soft skills as well, which will be included in your CV, and then also portfolio development. So whether digital or physical, portfolio showcase your work and expertise. And based on this process, self-discovery, defining your brand, building an online presence, even portfolio development, one of the most important thing is consistency and authenticity. So maintaining consistency in your brand message and being authentic are key to building trust. Whoever is like reading it or based on their perception to you, it should be whatever it is from beginning to end. So these are just some key points to consider when you're developing your CV. So for your CV, you ensure that your CV is easy to read, so there's clarity, and well organized. So it should you should use clear headings. Colleen showed you an example, and bullet points to highlight your accomplishments. But for CV, there should be more details within that. And then tailoring. I think someone asked about it earlier, but we'll go to Q&A. Customize your CV for each job application that you're doing and highlight the skills and experiences that align with the specific role you're applying for. So make sure you're paying attention to line by line requirements written in the job description, and make sure that it's reflected in your CV. Quantify achievements. So again, this is kind of repetition on what Colleen mentioned as well. Instead of vague descriptions, use quantifiable achievements. For another addition for that is specific for nurse leaders, especially I guess for managers or for people in operations and clinical operations right now. One of the key things is like decrease staff turnover rate by 30% in the first quarter. Well, it's amazing because everybody's experiencing high staff turnover rate. And if you will include that, they will say like, wow, this is an awesome leader, right? Professional summary. This is like at the top. Include a brief professional summary at the beginning, summarizing your career goals and key strengths. And education and experience. You need to provide details about your educational background and work experience in reverse chronological order. So normally at the top is the latest one, or the ones that you just achieved. And then skills, least relevant skills, both hard and soft, that make you a strong candidate for the position. A well-crafted CV is your ticket to getting noticed by potential employers. So take the time to tailor it to each opportunity and emphasizing the skills and experiences that match the job requirements. So now let's move on, navigate to professional portfolio for nurses. So what's a professional portfolio? It's actually a structured collection of carefully selected materials that provides credible evidence of a nurse employment, education, and professional development as a health professional over time. Portfolios showcase achievements, demonstrate professional development, and help in career planning. So your portfolio is not just a resume or a random assortment of papers and certificates. Each item in your portfolio has a purpose, and when carefully structured and organized, it becomes a useful tool for a variety of purposes. So, what are the reasons for maintaining a professional portfolio? So, by creating and maintaining your nursing portfolio, you can capture your journey as a healthcare practitioner. That not only helps you reach your career goals, it also demonstrates how you meet your professional standards, helps you monitor your progress, and plans your professional growth as a nurse. So let's start with provide evidence of continuing competence. So your portfolio helps you communicate your learning, development, and level of competence against your professional standards of practice expected of a nurse. Second is developing lifelong learning and reflective practices. Healthcare is constantly changing, we know that. And as health professionals, nurses must continually develop, grow, and adapt to change. So having a positive approach to lifelong learning is critical. Your portfolio can help you demonstrate your capacity for lifelong learning and that you have the necessary capabilities needed to cope with change and continually learn to ensure currency and competence in practice. The third one is career planning. Your professional portfolio can help you consistently review and reevaluate your career plans. Not only does it help you put a roadmap in place for what you'd like to do with your career, it's also a way of identifying your strengths, filling gaps in your experience, and motivating you to find opportunities to progress. So, some of the things that you can ask or consider for the structure for your portfolio. How do I make a structure, right, for your portfolio? Because a professional portfolio can serve different purposes. They can be organized and structured in different ways. So depending on the purpose and the audience, the best structure for your portfolio may be in categories that classify your evidence and supporting documents. In most instances, your portfolio will include some evidence related to educational qualifications, programs of study, courses, or something similar to that. It also will include records of CPD, your continuing professional development, career, and learning plans, writing samples such as papers, reports, publications, journal entries, and reflective accounts. It can also be projects or papers for study activities that you prepared, evidence of competence and performance, evidence of extracurricular activities such as, your leadership, your award, or volunteer work. So feedback in various forms like letters or emails. And it can also be activities or achievements related to a specialty or focus of work like educational, clinical, or management research. So how are you gonna, what are other questions? Who am I as a healthcare professional? And going back to that, right? Clearly define the purpose of your portfolio. Is it to showcase your work, writing samples, or mix of skills. Who is reading my portfolio? Carefully create the items you include. Choose your best work that aligns with your personal brand and career goals. Ensure that your portfolio is well organized, and you can create sections or categories to make it easy for viewers to navigate. Pay attention to the presentation. So sometimes, the layout, how others are reading it, and if they're challenged, if they love colors, just like what Colleen mentioned, healthcare industry is still traditional. We're not really into so many colors. We want it, professionally looking. And provide context for each item in your portfolio. Explain the project goals, your role, the impact of your work, and keep your portfolio up to date. I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. Just having it compile and have it updated. And a well-structured portfolio is a powerful tool for showcasing your skills and leaving a lasting impression on potential employers or clients. So what purpose does my portfolio serve, right? So just, I think this will be some of the summary for what we are talking about, resume or CV. So mostly for work, when you're starting and it's not really an executive position in a hospital, they require resume. It's easier, just like what Colleen mentioned, HR people have AI to scan resume. But for executive level positions or even people in academia like me, they normally require CV because they want to see how you progress and what have you done in the last 10, 20 years. So in a professional portfolio, you can include those details related to qualifications, employment, experiences, and normally you want to provide a summary about you, your background, and your capabilities to open your professional portfolio. The continuing professional development, or CPD, is a component of your professional portfolio. So as your CPD record demonstrates how you maintain your competence to practice as a nurse. And to do this effectively, you will need to document how your learning and development aligns and demonstrates your professional standards of practice. Think about how you might do this in a concise yet comprehensive manner, in a way that shows you are continually reflecting, evaluating, learning, and developing and applying this learning to practice. And of course, supporting documents, the quality of evidence that you have. It's important in a professional portfolio. You will need to think about the best evidence you can provide to support what you state in your portfolio. You cannot put something in there that you cannot provide evidence. It is not enough to just state that you have done something. You will need to validate this with evidence. For example, a de-identified reflective piece you wrote about a clinical incident in your workplace, that's a good quality piece of evidence, as it shows what and how you learned from your experience and apply this to new learning to your practice. So for portfolio content, do you have questions? I guess this is the last part of my slide. So let me just stop sharing. And I have not seen the chat, so I'll probably check it right now.
We could fill the questions
Yes.
to both of you in the interest of time. Bob, do you want to do it first? I have 8, actually 7 questions.
Yes.
Should we do it in the order of they came? The first one was from Perry Wilson. Should we share all our experience on the resume. And that's really similar to a question from Shirley Balbutin, to include all your work experience. So I guess those are for Colleen. Well, actually for both of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's for both. So,
Mhm.
and Mary Joyce can agree or disagree here, but I think we're aligned in our presentation that you should have a master version, so you have everything that you know about yourself, so you can just pull pieces out. So you leave out the irrelevant items, because you're tailoring each job description with a matching resume from you.
Yeah, and I'll probably just probably reiterate in there too, like with the job description, when you're working on your resume, if it's not an executive level position, so you tailor it in there and include, it's like writing, I guess, because I'm still a researcher, like a grant, that whatever they're requiring, make sure it's reflective of your resume or your CV, especially the keywords. If you will look at the job description and if they have repetitive requirements of a position, that's how you highlight it and put it at the very top. And when you're working on the summary of your skills at the very top as well, you highlight those key words that they're actually requiring for you to, or what they're actually looking for.
Right. Thank you. We have another question here. Forgot her name, but her question is, do you recommend to use the full name as written in RN license? First, middle, and maiden name.
So for a resume, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even for CV, I guess, for that, because that normally is just for once you're admitted, or once they, once you're in the process of background check and things like that, that's where they need it for HR people to process it. But if you're more known, we're talking about nurses. So if you want to use specific name, I don't think that, they have issues with that. Unless you're working on, like, you have a specific brand and people are so keen in looking at you or searching for you at LinkedIn or Google your name. They do that a lot. So make sure that whatever you put in your name in there should be something that is searchable for those people that's looking for you.
Okay. Thank you. The other question is, what's the ideal years of experience can I add on my resume? I graduated BSN in 1994 and I did volunteer work and had non-nursing job as a manager. Do I need to include these experiences?
Oh,
Question
I'm
is
not
for
sure.
both of either
Okay.
you or Colleen.
Well, for me, sometimes if it's a resume, what the search committee would not like to see is a gap in practice. So try to fill in as much as possible, but at the same time, you're making sure that whatever you put in there are fruitful or productive years of work that you can put in there. But again, if you have gap in there, they will probably see it if it's really huge. But if it's not, they're probably thinking, especially if you're a woman, they might think, oh, she probably had a child or something like that, if it's just a year gap. But if it's something like, 10-year gap that you didn't go for nursing, I think it will be fine if the last 5 years that they see that you've been practicing and not like, jump from like, oh, you work as a nurse for 1 year and then 2 years for marketing and then, things like that. So I don't think they discriminate in some ways as long as you, in the job description, again, if they're looking for just, 2 years clinical experience. We had a similar discussion about this with some HR folks that I know of. They were like not really laughing, but they were saying like, "Oh, you nurses are not making effort to have your resume really well done because you know that you will get hired." And it was like,
Mm.
well, that can be true in clinicals because of the, the staff need right now. But for some executive positions, we still make an effort for that. But compare with other discipline or other profession, I think that's our edge. Like, nurses has always been needed, and it's not hard for us to find a job.
Mhm.
So Connie, I think it depends, is my answer. So if that's the only leadership job that you've ever had is the manager job that you refer to, then maybe you do need to include it. But if you have had nursing and leadership experience, well, after all of these experience that you listed in the chat, then you don't need to include it. So it's really about relevancy. Does this add value? Because if you have a lot of wasted information that's not relevant, then you're making the reader work hard to figure out that you're a match. So really the whole point of customizing is making sure that the reader gets a really quick aha moment that this person's great. Let's bring them in for interview.
Mhm. Bob, may I add something to the
Sure.
discussion?
Yes.
In terms of that question, adding something from the job as a nursing manager, if there are areas where like organization of priorities, advocacy for consumers, or inclusive environment, those are transferable skills to the nursing position that's being applied for.
You are absolutely
I
correct.
agree with that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
No. As
Thank
long
you.
as you write that it is relevant skill. But if you
Mhm.
want the reader to assume it, they'll never get there likely because they're
Mhm.
reading very quickly. So just like she said, it's important to just write why it's relevant.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so we have a lot of millennials in this webinar, and I've never encountered this one, but Jen Orbezo's question is, what's your take on doing a recorded introduction to ECV? I have come across application that requires 1 minute self-introduction. So ladies.
I think a lot of companies are doing it right now. I know some healthcare industries and other like what do you call that? Not really marketing, but more of like they're in healthcare, but your position is you will be doing a lot of education and some type of marketing, and they want to do that CV recording. I think I encountered one, not that I'm applying, but I'm testing a system for them. So when I tried it, it felt so weird, like because you're not interacting an actual person. But I think it will be helpful that because it's really hard to set up for search committee or some other organizations if you don't have an actual search committee, right? Some were just like, okay, the hiring managers or something like that. So if it's something might like, okay, you just have to record it, but it's really time consuming for the person who's doing it, because rather than having a 30-minute conversation, you'll end up 2 hours having a great recording of your of your presentation to that platform. So
Yeah, I cannot even do TikTok. So anyway, there's a question from Gabby Sapalaran. For digital footprint, do you recommend to everyone to have a LinkedIn account?
Yes,
Colleen,
I think we both
yeah,
said that.
you mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in our presentation, we both encourage that just because it's a huge networking tool.
yeah, your online presence is important. You don't need to have like, if you're not a fan of LinkedIn, there's other platforms that you can use. Like for educators, we have like, ResearchGate, or we have Google Profile. But those are like, the ones within your company that you put like, that they're verifying your email or things like that. But a lot of people that I know of, they have higher chance of getting hired if they're in LinkedIn, because they can see the one that I told you about, they're searching you before sometimes, before they interview you, to kind of know you in some ways, because your resume might not speak a lot about you. I mean, it's just highlights, but they don't know you as a person. It might include some hard skills, but sometimes those soft skills are the skills that most teams, especially in nursing, collaboration is important. That soft skills are the ones that, oh, she has a great, soft skills. So we probably hire this person if they have like, if they have two last person to, to do to choose which among the two. And both of them were like really hardcore, having that hard skills. And then, okay, how about the soft skills? So we'll judge on that. So
I think just to add, LinkedIn is not only one way to show your brand, but it's another way to receive jobs. It's like people will find you. So sometimes I get a lot of messages inquiring, if I wanted to collaborate or if I wanted a new position or what have you. So it's really a two-way experience.
Okay,
yep,
great.
totally agree with that, because some
Yeah.
people thought like being in LinkedIn is because you're actively looking for a job or you're in the market. It's not. It's good. I want to emphasize what Colleen mentioned, collaborators, people with the same area that you work in, you find them in there. So
Okay, we have time for two more questions, and there's one question here from Ian. AI, artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, is becoming a trend. What's your take in using this innovative tool to build your resume, CV, personal brand? Either one can answer.
I mean, I love to use any technology there is, but the key point in here, you put your prompts in chat, especially in Chat GPT, you put your prompts in there. They cannot just like pick it up, because your resume, your CV, and your professional portfolio, all of those things, you've done it. You should provide evidence for it. So even if you're using the tool such as ChatGPT, it just helps you to organize things, but it does not give you the things that you can put in your resume, because you're still the person building your own CV and your own portfolio. So you cannot change that. So anything that can help you, any technology, whether it's AI or any social media, those are all tools. It's still you. You're still working on it. So I mean, I love using Chat GPT, but it doesn't mean that I use it for my professional. I cannot put something right in there without evidence and things like that. So
I think
Yes.
you have to use it to refine it, is some agreement, but it's really a refinement tool rather than necessarily a building tool, because it's really your personal brand and your personal work that builds your resume. Bob, could we go back to one of the questions that I saw earlier? Because I think
Sure.
it's an important question. It was asking people asked about hard and soft skills.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, somebody asked a question about the difference between soft skills and hard skills. Can you
Because
clarify again, hard and soft skills? Yes.
I really encourage everyone to kind of Google and read the difference between the two. But in short, hard skills are very technical skills, which are important to sell. When you're selling yourself and your capability is to say, like, technically, I'm capable of this. And then a soft skill is like, just like it says, it's soft. It's more about kind of your personality, your character is how I describe that. And so the combination of the two help create the notion of fit. And so that's why I want to make sure that everyone understands that employers. So I help students match for administrative residency. So that's an example. And we're training them to do hard and soft in their presentations themselves so that they get fit into their residency matching. So think about it from your resume from a fit example. And then just as a former hiring person, as a hospital president, I will tell you, when I looked at nursing or clinically related resumes, I really look for things that I wanted to make sure, if you're moving to an executive role with me, that not only do you have great clinical capability, which is demonstrated in your CV, but I would look for hard skills. Like, do you have financial exposure? Like, can you hold people accountable? So demonstrating that you have the ability to move into an executive role, I did look for words specific to those hard skills.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Colleen.
And
Mary
just to
Joyce?
add with, yeah, and just to add with that, whenever you're thinking about it, the hard skills are something that you can measure. So your skill, just like what she said. So for example, a statistician, work on numbers, financial things like that. For nurses, what are your, sometimes you will put your certification as your evidence, right? For critical care registered nurses or for, nurse practitioners, things like that. But it will add with the soft skills about your characteristics and traits and the attributes that, oh, you're a people person, right? So what's how flexible you can be, or your work like that, how you speak, how you talk to people, things like that. But sometimes those continuum can be depending on, but hard skills, it's easy because you can measure it, and there's like sometimes you will see it like the qualifications, the main qualifications, and then preferred qualifications are the soft skills at the bottom sometimes. So unless it's about educational requirements and attainment. So
Okay. Well, thank you so much, ladies. We're a little over. This is really, really helpful. And we have several attendees here that are requesting for copies of your presentation. So this recording will also be available for all the webinar attendees. So at this time, I'm gonna turn this over to Carol for some exciting raffle drawings. Carol?
Okay, hold on. Let me just share my screen. All right, are we ready? Let's see, how many are we drawing? 5, right?
Yes, 5, please.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna do our first one. And this is it $20 or $25?
$25 Amazon gift card.
Okay, congratulations, Jusil Rice, first winner of the $25 Amazon gift card. Next.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go. Kyle Montgomery, congratulations. You're the second winner of the $25 Amazon gift card.
Would the winners put their emails on the chat box, please?
Next. Wow, Carmina Bautista.
You should be giving the award, the prizes.
Congratulations, Carmina. Next. She's the third one. Fourth. Giovanni Henderson. Giovanni, please put in your email address on the chat. And the last one. Dylan Davis. Congratulations, Dylan. And please put your email address on the chat. And that's it for our raffle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol. And congratulations to all the winners. So if you haven't put your email addresses yet, I saw a couple of them already. Please do that. So you will send you your prize. Anyway, I'm gonna now call on Dr. Leo Hirado, our Executive Director, for the closing comments. Oh, Leo, before we do the closing comments, can we just show real quick the PNAA Career Center again? This is the one that I talked about earlier. We were not able to record it. So this is something new for our members, the PNA Career Center that's already on our website. And actually what we discussed today with the portfolio development, resume, and curriculum vitae development, all of this are also included in the PNA Career Center. So Carol, can you scroll down so you could show some of the features? As I mentioned earlier, this is a one-stop shop to help guide you with your career. There's information about writing cover letters. It's on the far left, I believe, writing cover letters, career coaching, job opportunities. So just go to the MyPNA website, and then on the right side, there's several menu selections there. It says Career Center, and then you just click that and it'll direct you to this new feature. And this is really exciting. So please share this with all your friends. And I think this is a great opportunity to enhance everyone's career. So thank you. Leo, please do the closing remarks, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Another outstanding webinar presentation from the PNAA Patnubay sa Pagtatagumpay mentoring program. As you can see, this is one of the perks that you get as a member of PNAA, and we have outstanding presenters here with Colleen Santa Ana and Mary Joyce Ramos. Colleen, you gotta know that Colleen is in France right now. It's like around 4 o'clock there in the morning. That's how commitment and dedication is. And Mary Joyce is not even in her home at the moment. So we appreciate all the work that you do. But again, always remember that the purpose of your CV is to show employers that you're suitable for the jobs that you're applying for and persuade them to invite you to interview with them. So always remember that your main purpose is to get interviewed. People don't know you, especially that when you have a last name that does not really sound Caucasian. There are studies that have shown that those submitted CV or resume or portfolio coming from last names that doesn't sound American sounding usually get lesser attention. So it is important for you to make sure that you try to come up with a resume or a CV that is captivating from the get-go. So that how do you differentiate yourself from the crowd based on the phrases that you use? Think about I think Colleen mentioned about the summary, or maybe an objective, or maybe an introduction, whether it's a cover letter or in a portfolio, you would have a little introduction. So try to be as informative as you can in the most concise manner as possible. You got to always remember that hiring managers and recruiters will take approximately 6 seconds to form an initial opinion on the suitability of your CV or resume or portfolio. And then they will take a further 20 to 30 seconds to do a full evaluation. So make sure that your resume really captures the reader's attention to get them to notice you so that they could bring you in for interview. And in the end, maybe before you even submit it, you always have to make sure that you may need to ask question like, does this resume or CV or portfolio really reflect my personality or my qualification? Because if you land an interview, remember they're going to be asking you those questions based on what you've written in your document. So you got to be true with what you write, and you got to evaluate it again before you submit it. Does it really reflect my strengths and gifts or weaknesses? Make sure that it doesn't stand out when you don't want to capitalize on any of your weaknesses. So that it is important that there is an alignment of your resume, your document with the truthfulness of yourself. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. It is, hoping that our next webinar may be something that would be the next step of getting a job. That may be an interview. I think they're working on that. So tune in for more webinar coming from the mentoring committee. And thank you for the committee led by Dr. Sagar here and the rest of the committee. And thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Hi, so we would like for you to do the course evaluation. If you could take 1 or 2 minutes to scan and do your evaluation, you earn 1 contact hour for this webinar tonight.
Oh, wish this was mentioned. A lot of people already leave the.
And that's fine. I could email them the
Oh
link
yeah,
and
that's
the QR
right.
code.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let them know too.
I'll give like a few more seconds for you to scan the QR code.
And it's up there with Ivy's. Every year, tens of thousands of students apply. They're my tenure, I can tell you that less than 8%.
And I guess we're good, right? And for those who weren't able to do it, I can, email it to them via MailChimp. Thank you so much.
Extracurriculars, athletics, university's goals with regards to things like diversity. And of course, a small percentage of that is legacy and consideration. And which of those factors play the largest role in the education?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our webinar. And Carol, do you want to just take some pictures?
Oh,
Okay. All right. Video.